Hey everybody, welcome to the Brandon Ecker Influence. Welcome to today's update. It's March 10th, 2026, and lots of big things are happening with oil. Lots of big things are happening with the Clarity Act. So welcome to the show. Brandon Ecker Influence. We're going to be looking at all of the biggest stories, and it's going to be a big one today. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the show. We're going to be looking at all of the markets and things that are going on today with all of that. Okay, so what do you guys think about the markets and what do you think about what's happening today in the markets? Okay, so I'm really excited for the future personally. I think there's going to be a lot of potential, and ultimately, I think there's going to be a lot to look forward to at a fundamental level. Sorry, just got to take care of this real quick. Minimize. Trying a few different strategies here. Make sure this worked. Trying a few different things. But yeah, so the morning news is big. NBC News today dropped their release of what's going on, and let's take a look.
Missiles and drones at their Gulf state neighbors and Israel, targeting critical infrastructure like power plants, hotels, airports, and data centers.
Back in the U.S. last night, Vice President J.D. Vance attended the dignified transfer for the 7th
Wow.
U.S. member killed in the war with Iran. His name is Sergeant Benjamin N. Pennington. He was a member of the Army's 1st Space Battalion and 1st Space Brigade.
That's pretty big.
From Glendale, Kentucky, and died on the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. Here at home, anxiety looms over the surge in oil prices. The price of crude oil passed $100 a barrel for the first time since 2022 yesterday.
Not sure if this is working. Got to make sure this is working.
After President Trump told reporters the war will be over very soon, but the Trump administration is also sending mixed messages. The president also agreed with Secretary Pete Hegseth that this is just the beginning.
Stand by. Having some technical difficulties. And ads, of course. One moment. Oh, don't you love when things just don't work? It's just the best, ain't it?
Actually gives you a score based on how well your clip is going to connect
Let's
with
see
your
if this
audience.
works a little better now.
And it also reframes us to vertical depending on the
Trying a few
platform.
different
So,
things.
in fact,
Okay,
there were
hopefully
4
this
of
is
us,
working a
it
little bit better.
would do that too.
Sorry
It might
about
do
that.
20
Don't mean to
or
make you
30
watch this
these.
ad. I'm not trying to promote anything here. Okay, running in, we just ran into a few little problems there, so no biggie deal.
We could go further.
No biggie deal.
And we're going to go further.
We have a team of correspondents and analysts joining us this morning to break down the latest from the ongoing war with Iran and its widening economic impact.
Yeah, a lot of big things happening with the war with Iran, and that's really affecting oil prices once we're looking at everything here. I mean, when we really look at the markets, again, we're going to go back to this video, kind of watch some of what's going on. But the market's looking kind of back to normal. We're going back and forth. The market's just kind of unpredictable, right? With the Iran war, Trump's making statements that are kind of shifting the entire motion of everything, right? When it comes to the Iran war, when it comes to oil prices, really Trump is coming out there, right? He's doing an entire Trump rally, giving a positive speech for oil, and then at the same time, he'll turn around right after that speech and say, no, we're going to go fight Iran. So he'll kind of manipulate the markets with his words. Trump knows that his words do matter and that his words do impact the market, and that there's a lot that actually does come into play with it. All right, so again, Bitcoin's at $71,265 today, up 6.9% in the last 7 days. And then XRP is at $1.43 today, so XRP really shot up just from yesterday, 5%. Dogecoin is sitting at 9 cents. Cardano is sitting at 27 cents. Chainlink sitting at $9.11. Stellar Lumens, or XLM, sitting at 16 cents, and Trump's World Liberty Financial 99 cents, with Hedera Hashgraph still sitting at number 21 on the chart at 9 cents. 9 cents. And then Litecoin's at $54.73. So we see a lot of big things happening with crypto. Again, the fear and greed index is also going down. People are feeling better about investing. They're getting, again, the fear and greed index last week was at like 9. Okay, it was really bad last week. Really bad last week. So today we're at 27. Again, last week we were at like what? What was this? Like 5. 5 is the lowest we were at. February 5th, 2026, we were at the 5 level on the fear and greed index. That's crazy. So as we look at the crypto markets a little bit more here, and we look at poly market, a lot of people are making money on poly market. A lot of people are making money from the prediction markets, of course, from oil, looking at oil and gas and all the things happening there. A lot of big things are going on, right? So what do you guys think? What do you guys kind of see coming when it comes to crypto, when it comes to oil prices, all that stuff? Do you guys think we are going to see a massive boom? Do you guys think oil will go over $200, or do you guys think we are going to end up pretty much in a recession? What do you guys think we're going to end up in? Okay. This Coinbase is just being kind of slow. It's okay. We already looked at the markets. According to the American Precious Metals Exchange, gold is up today, $5,228. Silver's at $89, and platinum's at $2,236. And then palladium is at $1,711. So again, precious metals, gold, people are investing in this. It's continuing to go up. It's not really going to go down, right? Precious metals are always going to be something useful to have during World War III as the markets are crashing, going crazy, being unpredictable. You really need to be on top of it when it comes to all of this stuff. Okay, so today, the energy market is down. Crude oil is actually down. The prices are at $84.19 for crude. And then Brent last day financial futures at $88.50. So that's kind of where the markets are looking today. We're not going up in prices. We're actually going down. But is that because of Trump's statements? Is that because of the hopes that we will end the war? What do you guys think? This is kind of what the market's looking like for futures, for FX, for Forex trading, for interest rates, for metals. This is what I like to use. It's called cmegroup.com. Not a plug or anything. Not an endorsement. Equities, energy, agriculture. But I always track this for my trades and what I like to do. Micro futures. I really like that. And yeah, so lots you can do when it comes to cmegroup.com. A lot of information you can get. Okay. So now that we're back on track, wanted to look at the market update a little bit. And let's start this over, kind of see what's going on in the market. Let's see what's going on in the news today. Again, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you are tuning in. Trying to grow this channel, trying to make it a little bit more official for the audience. So let's take a look.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We are going to begin this Tuesday morning, of course, with the ongoing war in the Middle East. Iranians are celebrating their new supreme leader, Moshtaba Khamenei. He's the son of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was assassinated in an airstrike 10 days ago. But those celebrations come as Iran launches missiles and drones at their Gulf state neighbors and Israel.
Yeah, and again, we attacked Khamenei. We killed Khamenei with Israel. The United States and Israel did this, and then because of this, we are now in this war that we really can't get out of. And the U.S. troops are not taking a lot of victories right now. The U.S. troops are actually getting hit pretty hard on U.S. bases, and all these things are happening. It's a genuine concern. But this is kind of the biggest news today that's shifting the markets.
Targeting critical infrastructure like power plants, hotels, airports, and data centers.
Back in the U.S. last night, Vice President J.D. Vance attended the dignified transfer for the 7th U.S. service member killed in the war with Iran. His name is Sergeant Benjamin N.
We shouldn't even be there, you know.
He was
so
a member
sad.
of the Army's 1st Space Battalion and 1st Space Brigade. He was from Glendale, Kentucky, and died on the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. Here at home, anxiety looms over the surge in oil prices. The price of crude oil passed $100 a barrel for the first time since 2022 yesterday. Things then did...
And then it dropped because Trump's statements. I believe it was because Trump's statements went from really positive about oil, or positive about the end of the Iran war, and then he ended up saying that we're going to go back into war with Iran. So the prices keep fluctuating based on Trump's statements.
Back down after President Trump told reporters the war will be over very soon, but the Trump administration is also sending mixed messages. The president also agreed with
and that's
Secretary
affecting the oil
that
markets.
this is just the beginning.
We could We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further.
And it's those statements that make the market go up for oil or down. These unpredictable statements from Trump or the president, he understands that these statements definitely matter. So let's keep going.
The correspondents and analysts joining us this morning to break down the latest from the ongoing war with Iran and its widening economic impact. Let's start with NBC's Matt Bradley in Israel. So, Matt, what is the latest?
We'll just watch a little bit of this, and then we'll go into the Twitter X stories and the biggest news there.
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing here now is a somewhat stabilizing situation, but one that's still surrounded by war. We saw that there were actually 2 deaths yesterday here in Israel from Iranian ballistic missiles and projectiles. Those are the first deaths we've seen in more than a week. As we've heard from
Again, this is in Tel Aviv, Israel.
The number of missiles per Iranian salvo has really decreased. And people that I've been speaking to who are close to the security establishment here say that while we're still getting alerts all day long, all night long, we're not seeing the same kind of ferocity, the same number in each salvo as we were before. In many ways,
I don't know. That's not what I've been seeing on Twitter X. Twitter suggests that Tel Aviv has been getting hit pretty hard by Iranian missiles.
To evade some of Israel's formidable air defenses. Now, the number of injuries has continued to remain about in the hundreds. Important to note here, guys, when we talk about injuries, the vast majority of people who have been injured in the past week here in Israel have been injured trying to run to those shelters by tripping and falling, or having a panic attack or a heart attack in some cases.
Yeah, I really think they're going to use this entire, all of Iran's strikes on the Tel Aviv and the Iranian bases. I think they're going to turn, I think Israel is going to use that. I think this was all part of the plan. I think these attacks that have been done on Tel Aviv, it's going to be used against the Iranian people, against the American people for not getting involved enough. So they say, right? So Netanyahu says. And it's going to get us involved in a further entrenched war. That's kind of what I predict happening. So all of this that you're seeing in Tel Aviv, this damage, they're going to turn this into an excuse of anti-Semitism, and they're going to turn this into a precursor to really make a furtherance of the war, to continue the war. That's kind of what I predict.
Launches and getting injured from shrapnel or other things.
Matt, Iranians have gathered to celebrate their new supreme leader over the past several days. Tell us, though, about the response from the U.S. and Israel to this choice, Moshtaba Khamenei, his appointment.
Yeah, we haven't heard much
so that's
from
the new
Israel
replacement.
About this. This was something
so
that
again,
was widely anticipated even long before October 7th and the attacks on Iran over the past couple of years. Moshtaba Khamenei was the heir apparent, even though his election really flies in the face of everything that the Islamic Republic really stands for ideologically.
Look at that. The people of Iran are unified. That's not good. So Trump wants a regime change in Iran. Does this look like a revolution to you, or does this look like a revolution against the United States? This does not look like a revolution against their own people, against Khamenei or the Ayatollah. These people are loyal towards their own president, towards their own people, towards their own country, towards their own sovereignty. Geopolitically, geoeconomically, this is not going to be smart to be involved in this war.
The Constitution expressly forbids inherited succession of power, simply as a result, as a reaction to the regime that this regime ousted, that of the Shah, where power was passed from father to son. Now, President Trump, not happy with this selection. He said, I'm not happy. He's also said that
we're not happy, Trump. America's not happy. We want our country back.
He said earlier, kind of hinted that the big problem here, the worst case scenario would be if a bigger hardliner, if a more conservative justice took over leadership of Iran. Well, that is exactly what happened. Moshtaba Khamenei is close to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. He is very much against the reformers in the Iranian government, who have made real entreaties to the West, in part by pledging to curb Iran's nuclear program. This is exactly the kind of person that experts had warned could take over in Iran.
Not good at all. So that's some of the bigger news happening with the Iran war today. We covered a little bit of it. But I also wanted to get into the Twitter X stories. And I call it Twitter X just because it sounds a little bad when you just call it X, because then it sounds like ecstasy. And it's just like I can't get it out of my head. So I always call it Twitter X. So these are the bigger stories that I pretty much just circulated and found just before this show started. According to Bar Chart, breaking U.S. banks enter technical correction after falling more than 10% from their February highs. So again, this is the KBW Bank Index. Check this out. You can see we went from 177 down to 151. Crazy. And that's just for today. As we look at some of these other stories, according to Disclosed TV, just in Polymarket partners with Peter Thiel's Palantir to develop a sports integrity platform for Polymarket's sports markets. Yeah, Polymarket's making a lot of new stuff. A lot of people are betting. A lot of people are making money off of the oil markets and Polymarket. What do you think? Dollar surges as war fears hammer global energy markets. The U.S. dollar is getting fresh boosts as war fears rip through energy markets and investors pile into one economy that can actually pump its own oil. While Europe braces for higher gas prices and a possible energy crunch, America is looking a lot less fragile than everyone else right now. So let's take a look at this. Yeah, I mean, we own the currency, right? America is the main currency. We are at the head of the helm of everything. So let's take a listen.
Every bit of global liquidity left while the rest of the world's wallets catch fire. As the Middle East war sends energy markets into a panic spiral, investors aren't just looking for safety. They're sprinting toward the greenback like it's the only lifeboat with an engine.
Crazy.
While European natural gas futures just pulled a vertical 30% jump, the U.S. is sitting on a massive strategic advantage that nobody wants to talk about at cocktail parties. America has been pumping crude at a record-breaking clip, effectively becoming the world's
don't forget about Venezuela.
accidental insurance policy. While the Strait of Hormuz is currently a live fire zone where tankers go to get harassed, the Permian Basin is wide open and humming. This creates a brutal divergence. Europe is staring down a catastrophic energy crunch, with benchmark prices extending their biggest weekly advance since the 2022 crisis.
Not good for
Meanwhile,
Europe.
the US dollar is feasting on the chaos because the states can actually keep the lights on without asking for permission from a Gulf monarch. The G7 is frantically discussing a joint release of emergency oil reserves to stop the bleeding, but that is a temporary patch for a structural nightmare.
Wow.
If the Gulf producers follow through on threats to shut down exports entirely, we are looking at $150 oil and a continental
I think
recession in
$200
Europe
per oil.
that no amount
$200 per barrel of oil, for sure.
of central bank magic can fix. The greenback isn't just winning the trade. It's the only currency that speaks the language of energy security right now. For everyone else, the peace dividend has officially been replaced by a war surcharge.
Crazy. So that's what's happening. Yeah, the war is heating up. It's pretty much impacting most of the market manipulation that you're seeing. According to Yahoo Finance, the Trump administration must begin paying out more than $130 billion in tariff refunds to U.S. businesses, a federal judge ruled Tuesday. Trump faces 2,000 tariff lawsuits following Supreme Court loss. Notable companies that have filed to recoup what they paid on imports: Costco, Kohl's, Barnes & Noble, J.Crew, Staples, REI Co-op, Goodyear, Toyota, Dyson, BYD, Milwaukee, Alcoa, Elf, Prada, Beautiful Fashion and Luxury, Bosch plus Lhomme, Bath and Body Works, Tom Ford, Schick, Essilor, Luxottica, Revlon, L'Oreal, and Conair. All these different companies are suing Trump for the tariffs. So now what I wanted to look up here while we're here, what does this have to do with Howard Lutnick? What does this have to do with Howard Lutnick's recouping of Trump's tariffs? The recent scandal. ... Should be able to identify it. Let's see. I just like to see what Grok has to say about it. Let's see if Howard Lutnick might have anything to do with this. It'll probably say no, of course, because, it's a whole cabal, but we're having fun. What does this have to do with Howard Lutnick's recouping of Trump's tariffs? Because his company is going to be redoing that. They're recouping a lot of money, this company, and they're going to be taking all this money back. And so instead of the American people getting it, all these companies are going to get it. And then Howard Lutnick thus gets it. So Howard Lutnick tariff recoup efforts tie into the second scandal via his role challenging the refunded tariffs. So again, we're looking into this. We're seeing what Grok has to say about this. Okay. In the meantime, what do you guys think about what's going to happen with the Iran war? I think we're going to be in this war for at least 20 years. I think the Clarity Act will definitely pass because they'll need the Clarity Act in order to really do anything with crypto, in order to really make anything meaningful happen. And I also think that when it comes to the tariffs, that there should be some kind of success with the tariffs if there's not all these corrupt people like Howard Lutnick, right, who are affecting who's getting the buybacks and all of these things, right? Why do these people get special treatment? That's the question we should all be asking. How come Howard Lutnick is still wearing a suit, still representing Trump? How come nobody's in trouble for any of this? Okay, as we wait for this answer. Again, I'm asking Grok here for an answer because I want to know. What does Howard Lutnick and his company have to do with these tariffs and buying back tariffs, allegedly, according to the big court scandal that's happening? That's kind of what I'm talking about. So it's still doing the research. It's still running a deep search for me. This is the AI. This is Grokopedia on Twitter X, and I use it often. Everybody should use Grokopedia. Again, we're just waiting for it right here. You can see it on my screen. And we're just waiting to see what pops up here for this answer, what this ends up giving us. Because we're really trying to figure out, like, what is the truth? What is the truth behind Howard Lutnick? And it's definitely not giving me an answer. It's like it knows it's like it knows I'm live streaming, so it's going to really take forever to give me the information. Isn't that great? A lot of big things happening. As that continues to load, we'll move on and we'll continue going through some other stories here. Latest Ondo Finance dominates sector as tokenized stocks surpass $1 billion. Okay, here we go. We'll go back to that story in just a moment. This came up, though. Howard Lutnick, who serves as Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary, was a key architect and public champion of the administration's sweeping Liberation Day tariffs imposed on 2025 on imports on nearly every country. He frequently appeared alongside Trump to promote them as essential for protecting American industries and boosting the economy, dismissing concerns about their legality or economic fallout. Connection to the recent federal judge's ruling on March 4th, 2026, ordering over $130 billion in tariff refunds following the Supreme Court's February 2026 decision deeming tariffs unconstitutional, revolves around a major scandal involving Lutnick's family and their financial firm, Cantor Fitzgerald. Lutnick led the firm for decades before handing control over to his sons, Brandon and Kyle Lutnick, upon joining the administration in early 2025. Reports from sources like Wired, dating back to July 2025, revealed that Cantor Fitzgerald had been quietly buying up rights to potential tariffs refunds from U.S. importers at steep discounts, typically paying 20 to 30 cents on the dollar for claims worth millions. This was essentially a bet that the courts would invalidate the tariffs, allowing the firm to pocket the full refunds, potentially yielding 3 to 5 returns on investments, 3 to 5x returns on investments. Internal documents cited in these reports showed the firm had executed trades worth tens of millions, positioning itself to profit massively if the policy failed legally. The setup created a glaring conflict of interest. While Lutnick publicly touted the tariff as not going away and downplayed their risks, his family's firm was wagering against them, raising questions about whether they benefited from the insider knowledge of the tariff's legal vulnerabilities, this administration's litigation strategy, or non-public information. Critics argue that their amounts of profiteering off of a policy that burdened American businesses and consumers, who absorbed about 90% of the $175 billion in collected tariffs, while the Lutnicks stood gain in billions. They gained billions of dollars. The scandal escalated after the Supreme Court ruling triggered refunds. Democratic lawmakers, including Representative Jamie Raskin, a ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, launched investigations on February 27, 2026, demanding records from Lutnick and his son Brandon about the firm's transactions, communications with administration's officials, and any ethics reviews. Senator Ron Wyden and Elizabeth Warren had earlier probed similar concerns in August 2025. Even some Republicans and White House insiders have expressed frustration with feeling of Trump confronting Lutnick over his 25% revenue spike in 2025 to $2.5 billion, partly tied to Trump's related dealings. Cantor Fitzgerald had denied the allegations, calling reports completely false and insisting that they never took positions on the tariff's legality. However, the controversy has fueled bipartisan calls for Lutnick's resignation, amplified by unrelated scrutiny over his past ties to Jeffrey Epstein, mentioned in the unsealed files several times. Social media and other outlets like Political, Newsweek, and Reddit have widely discussed it as Nets-level corruption or insider trading, though no formal charges have been filed yet. Of course not. In short, the refund ruling directly enables recouping, like what you meant by that was a typo, of tariffs or massive payouts, with Lutnick's family allegedly positioned themselves to exploit, turning a policy failure into a personal windfalls amid accusations of hypocrisy and self-dealing. This undermines the administration's trade agenda and has prompted shifts towards alternative tariff mechanisms, now facing their own legal challenges. Look at that. So, getting no viewers, and here I'm talking about Howard Lutnick. We're talking about all of this scandal that he has to do with. Howard Lutnick, how he stole billions from the American taxpayer. Nobody's watching my show. There's a reason, because I'm censored, because you're not supposed to talk about these things. But we'll move on. We'll go to the next story. According to BSCN, Ando Finance dominates sector as tokenized stocks surpassed $1 billion. Tokenized equities have crossed $1 billion milestone on chain, with Ando Finance commanding 58% of market and StocksFi holding 24%, forming a clear two-player dominance. A Foresight Ventures report attributes the consolidation to regulatory barriers, liquidity advantages, and deep architectural bets made early on both platforms. The milestone arrives as total tokenized RWAs, excluding stablecoins, hit $26 billion, and tokenized U.S. Treasury market crosses $11.13 billion. So tokenization is happening. Crypto's happening. Crypto is the future. There's no way around it. U.S. Treasury submits Genius Act crypto report to Congress. The United States Department of Treasury has sent Congress a Genius Act mandated report on tools to combat crypto-enabled illicit finance. The report spans 32 pages. It outlines emerging methods used to monitor blockchain transactions. Officials have discussed privacy technologies with the crypto ecosystem. Lawmakers are now reviewing the recommendations. So yeah, they're really going to try to keep the Clarity Act from getting passed as much as possible, as long as possible. They're going to go back to the Genius Act, change a bunch of stuff, make it so that way only they benefit. All these things will happen. It's inevitable, right? They're really trying to just screw over the American people and keep this entire process going. But the faster that they pass the Clarity Act, and when this Clarity Act is actually made in favor of the American people, then maybe we'll see some price action with crypto. But I do see that happening eventually. There's going to be movement with crypto. It is the future, and especially when we read articles like this. According to Watcher Guru, just in, Elon Musk says X Money early public access to launch next month. So that's pretty awesome, and I'll be joining that for sure. X Money, baby. And what do you think X Money is going to run on? It's going to run on XRP. It's going to run on XLM. It's going to run on Bitcoin. It's going to run on XRP or XLM most likely. So pretty cool stuff. China is making some big developments in AI, so I like to cover AI as an AI systems builder myself. I'm kind of a geek when it comes to robotics and these things. China's exports in January to February rose 21.8% year on year, far higher than 6.6% growth recorded in December, and also above the expected 7% increase. Take a look at the current power of China's manufacturing center. Yeah, pretty crazy. They got robots that can do everything now. According to No Limit, this is a big account on X. They're right about 95% of their predictions. The largest oil supply shocks in history are coming. The market has never had to price something like this. You know what happens next. Oh yeah, price action, baby. Breaking, NVIDIA is planning to launch an open-source AI agent platform called Nemotlaw, allowing enterprises to deploy AI agents for their workforces, per Wired. And then, according to Bloomberg TV, President Donald Trump says the U.S. war in Iran could be ending soon. There's her statements on this. Let's take a look at this. What do you guys think? You think the Iran war will actually be ending soon? I don't really see it happening. I think we're going to be in the Iran war for a long time.
Any
personally.
Details here about exactly what he told CBS? What does soon mean?
Well, I guess that is open to interpretation, Romaine. What he suggested in this phone call with CBS was that this war is very complete, quote, pretty much, noting to CBS that they have no Navy, no communications, and they've got no Air Force, which, of course, were among eliminating those capabilities were among the objectives that Trump and others in his administration have laid out when it comes to this conflict. And, of course, he had previously suggested that this could last some 4 to 5 weeks. He told CBS that the U.S. is way ahead of that timeline.
I don't think we're going to be, I think we're going to be in this war longer than 4 to 5 weeks, personally.
Has laid out regime change, hasn't listed formally among them, but he has weighed in on the idea that the worst case scenario in this conflict would be if someone comes in to succeed the late Ayatollah, who was even worse than the previous one. Of course, we now know it is the Ayatollah's son, Mujtaba Khamenei, who has been
his son, Khamenei's son, is now taking over as the new Ayatollah leader. Like, okay, great. That was genius that we killed the father and then created the sins of the father mentality with his son. Now he's going to be coming after the United States in revenge. Trump better take him out if he's really serious about securing this regime change and beating Iran. Because if not, this guy is going to bring jihad on America for sure in retaliation.
Supreme Leader and President Trump in this interview with CBS seemed not to like that development, suggesting that he actually has someone in line to replace him, though he wouldn't specify who that may be. Also interesting for oil markets, especially as we have seen a lot of
oil markets are definitely moving.
President Trump suggested in this interview that the U.S. is considering taking over the Strait of Hormuz, of course, the waterway where some 20% of oil and natural gas flows through. It is unclear what that means, how that might go beyond the assurances that President Trump already has provided in terms of...
yeah, I mean, if we do secure the Strait of Hormuz, then we'll have it and China won't. We'll have the oil and China won't. So there's upsides to this, but... at the same time, we should have just left all of this alone. It's causing more problems for Americans and especially taxpayers.
Offering insurance for vessels, even naval escorts, if necessary. So would that entail even more military action? It remains to be seen. I would note President Trump is scheduled to hold a news conference at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time from Doral in Florida.
And that was yesterday.
Currently meeting.
We covered that. Go back on the Ecker Geopolitics YouTube channel. We talk a little bit about the Trump statements made yesterday and his speech on Iran and how he's pretty much going to double down. We watched all of that.
We may get further answers from him in these areas soon.
Yeah, a lot to dig into there. It's notable to take a look at the market's reaction. The S&P 500 erasing a drop of 1.5%, now about 1% higher. And I want to talk a little bit about what you were saying, that Trump said that there is someone that they have in mind to replace the late Ayatollah's son, who has been named as the new supreme leader.
Yeah, it's his son.
You could make the case that that doesn't quite line up.
Doesn't get
with
worse
the
than
timeline,
that.
This war could be over soon, or is pretty much done, to use the president's language there, if it seems like they're pursuing regime change.
Yeah, the regime change is going to happen, more likely than not.
Out of its way to say regime change was not one of the primary objectives for this conflict, though they wouldn't be upset if that was brought about, that is a development they would like to see.
We all know that was the main plan. Regime change was always the main plan for Iran.
The Iranian people themselves, as President Trump has repeatedly said, now is the moment. The U.S. has done what it could, and they should seize the opportunity. It's not clear, though, who he might have in mind, as the president has repeatedly said that among the candidates that they initially thought heading into this conflict, a lot of them have already been killed and were killed in the initial strike or in the strikes that following. He's repeatedly said the top 2 or 3 people are all dead now. So it's not clear who may be on the list for the administration in terms of who they would like to see come into place, or what action they're willing to take in order to get that, knowing that...
Yeah, it's going to be the son, and they're probably going to drop nuclear weapons on Iran. That's what they're saying. I'm not saying that. They're saying that they're going to do that. The White House, the Trump administration, that's what they want to do. Lindsey Graham, they're not opposed to dropping a whole nuke and really relying on the Samson option. Israel's getting hit really hard right now by Iranian missiles, and because of that, you have people like Lindsey Graham and these warmongers who are coming out really getting us further into this war.
Military analysts will tell you an aerial operation...
They're willing to go to the extents of nuclear warfare to win this war.
...is not really enough to enact regime change, which has raised the question of ground troops. President Trump, though, in an interview with the New York Post...
Yeah, I'm not fighting for Israel. I'll never fight for Israel. I'll never fight for the state of Israel. They can try to draft me, and they can try to do whatever they want. It'll never work. I'm never going to fight for the state of Israel. Fuck that. No offense, but it's not fair, and it's wrong for what they're doing to the entire world right now because of this war. They're dragging everybody into a war that benefits nobody. Volkswagen has upped its redundancy target by 2030 to 50,000 jobs in Germany alone after profits plunged 44% last year. That didn't stop its board from approving bonuses of up to $1.7 million for each executive. Last year, workers were made to forego their average annual bonus of 5,000 euros due to companies' poor performance. German conservative magazine Tisches Einblick claimed the company used creative accounting practices to ensure positive cash flow hit an upper threshold, activating increased payouts for board members. So Volkswagen, it's kind of what's happening there. Europe, Germany, all these countries are really taking a hit. Okay, or Europe's a continent, right? But Germany and these countries alike that are producing like Volkswagen and these cars, they're getting screwed because they're getting hamstrung, right? Economically. And much so by the United States. Breaking the U.S. ADP employment change weekly came in at 15,500. The previous was 12,750. Breaking, Elon Musk's SpaceX is reportedly leaning towards a NASDAQ listing targeting a $1.75 trillion valuation. That's crazy. $1.75 trillion valuation for SpaceX, Elon Musk's SpaceX, in what could become the largest IPO in history per Reuters. Yeah, we're going to go to Mars. Well, allegedly, right? Like we went to the moon. So allegedly went to the moon. Did we go to the moon? I don't know if we did or not. Breaking, the U.S. Treasury is projected to buy back $15 billion of its own debt today, the largest Treasury buyback in history. This is total white-collar crime. This is total corruption. Why do the American people not get this? Because Howard Lutnick's family is getting it. Because the people in the Epstein files are getting this money. $130 billion tariffs that are going to be bought back so that way Howard Lutnick and his family can get rich. According to Polymarket, Meta acquires Moltbook, a social network built for AI agents. Also, 2 hours ago, update from Israel. The Israeli government is accusing the Iranian government of launching indiscriminate missiles towards Jerusalem, particularly in the direction of Al-Aqsa Mosque in the Dome of the Rock. Israel is concerned these missiles could hit and destroy these sacred places. So this is kind of what Israel is fearing. Yeah, Israel's been taking lots of missiles, lots of fire, lots of bad stuff happening in Israel.
Sacrifice that they make.
And this is Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Pretty much no remorse or anything, no problem sending U.S. troops to die for the state of Israel, who gives us nothing in return. So here's Pete Hegseth.
The chairman and I, having just returned from Dover last night, our troops and their families and the enormous sacrifice that they make is certainly heavy on.
Are your kids going to sacrifice for Israel? Are your kids going to go and die for Israel now? Are your kids going to go and fight this war for Israel? That's my question, Pete Hegseth. Are you going to go fight for Israel? Are you going to go out there and fight for Israel? I want to see you go fight, Pete Hegseth. You're so tough. You're so strong. You're the big man. You're the Secretary of War. We'll go out there and fight. Put your sons out there and fight. Put your daughters out there. We got to win this war. You got to send them out there, Pete. I mean, again, I'm saying this as a Republican. Like I voted for Trump, but like this is stupid. This is retarded, and this is really dumb. This is not smart for anybody.
So I'll close with scripture, drawing strength from Psalm 144. Blessed be the Lord, my rock, who trains my
Don't
hands
start
for war
quoting
and my
the
fingers for
Bible.
battle. He is my loving God.
How
and my
pathetic.
fortress.
Using the Bible as an excuse to really further this war. Really?
My stronghold and my deliverer, my shield,
Okay.
in whom I take refuge.
You don't believe in any of this.
May the Lord grant unyielding strength and refuge to our warriors.
You just want American troops to go out there and die for Israel. What are you talking about, Pete Hegseth? You go and die for Israel. You should go and fight.
Unbreakable protection to them and our homeland, and total victory.
The propaganda, the psyop is unreal.
And amen. God bless our troops and this mission.
This is actually pure insanity. Anybody who believes that this war is a good thing and a holy thing is delusional. This is evil. This is evil, what you're watching. The pushing forward of this war is not good for America. It's terrible for America. Israeli strike kills Christian priest who refused to abandon his village in South Lebanon. Israel assassinated Father Pierre Al-Rai, the parish priest of the Christian village of Kalaya in southern Lebanon today, while Israel ordered the forced evacuation of dozens of towns across southern Lebanon. He urged that the area remain free of armed activity and warned civilians should not be placed in danger. Speaking outside at the church 3 days ago, he declared, "None of us carried weapons. The only weapons we carry are peace, love, and prayer." Kalaya's mayor blamed Israel for killing and said no Hezbollah fighters were present in the town. Interesting. He told LBCI that an Israeli drone strike killed another Christian civilian nearby after Israel's displacement order in town. No, I mean, I'm not surprised. You know, you go to Jerusalem wearing a crucifix, you're not going to get a good, you're not going to be welcomed. Sorry about that. We'll turn this down in a minute, get this organized. Yeah, so if you go to Jerusalem or Israel today, guess what? You are going to get spit at for wearing a cross, for trying to be a Christian. Good luck. You might just get droned if you go to Jerusalem today and try to wear a crucifix to worship Jesus Christ. You're actually not going to be welcomed by the Jewish people in Israel. That's just a fact. Look at that. So again, these people are from Lebanon, who Israel claims has been bombing Israel, which is not true. Israel has been bombing Lebanon. Israel needs Lebanon for the Greater Israel Project. So that's kind of why a lot of this is happening. Yeah. So, talking about the military installations, how Israel's pretty much creating a lot of false flags, allegedly, around all of these incidents that are happening. Whether it be Lebanon, whether it be Israel itself, taking a lot of hits. Yeah, I'm not a sympathizer for anybody in the Middle East, really. I just believe we shouldn't even be in the Middle East. We shouldn't be in this war at all. Breaking news from Alex Barnicoat. Great account. You should follow him on Twitter X. You want to keep updated on the information, all the news. He's really great. America is sending in another aircraft carrier to Iran. So let's check this out.
Strike group to the Middle East and to Iran. Some breaking news. America is sending another aircraft carrier to Iran, but they might be doing it to replace one because Iran claims they just bombed the USS Abraham Lincoln. Well, only 2 days after Iran made that claim, today the US has announced they're sending the USS George Bush aircraft carrier strike group to the Middle East and to Iran.
Oh boy.
Well, the US denies that Iran has bombed the Abraham Lincoln, but it makes no sense why they would have 3 aircraft carriers off the coast of Iran.
Yeah, not
Context,
a great
the USS
idea.
Abraham Lincoln is in the Indian Ocean, the USS Gerald R. Ford is in the Suez Canal, and now they're sending the George Bush one. Of course, maybe the US is doing this just to carry out more attacks on Iran. But to me,
obviously,
it seems
yes,
more than
for
just
Israel.
a coincidence that this comes only 2 days after Iran was very, very assertive in the fact that they said that they bombed the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier. They didn't make kind of a claim. They made it very certain that they bombed the USS
We saw that
Abraham
coming.
Lincoln aircraft carrier.
Like the entire world was literally saying that was going to happen. Whether that's just true or false, that was literally being said that was going to happen. And I wouldn't be surprised. I think they're going to use something like that, an attack on an aircraft carrier. They're going to use that as an excuse to continue the war.
And only 2 days after Iran made that claim, yes, the US denied it, but still, they're sending a 3rd aircraft carrier, ironically, to the exact same place that the Abraham Lincoln is. Something seems a bit off.
Crazy.
For me. Maybe Iran did actually bomb the aircraft carrier. And if that's the case, that's something we've never seen before. And so, once we get some information on anything like that, leave me a follow, because I'll be the first one to keep you updated on it.
Literally crazy. We should not be fighting this war. We're not prepared for it. Breaking, Iran has forced another country to stop producing oil due to their attacks. What do you think?
They're stopping the production of their oil. Breaking news, Iran has forced another
Watch one more from him.
stop producing oil, and this time it could cause a war. Well, today Kuwait has announced that they're stopping the production of their oil, and I'll tell you what they said in a moment, but you need to know that they've joined the growing list of countries that are also doing the same. 2 days ago, Qatar announced they're stopping the production of liquefied natural gas due to Iranian attacks. As well as that, Saudi Arabia halted operations at its largest oil refinery after Iran bombed it. I will say Iran denied bombing it, but it still got bombed, and Saudi Arabia has still halted operations there. But now Kuwait has joined that list, and Kuwait has announced that they're suspending operations and they're no longer going to continue producing oil whilst the war with Iran is ongoing. They said they've stopped this, quote, in response to the ongoing aggression by Iran against the state of Kuwait. But as well as that, they also said that this is because of the Iranian threats against safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Obviously, Iran has shut the Strait of Hormuz, and now they're threatening to blow up.
Yeah, and they only gave China access to the Strait of Hormuz, which is even more not good.
Any ships that transit through that corridor, and Kuwaiti ships and Kuwaiti oil would be a huge target. And so, in response to the attacks against Iran and the Iranian attacks against Kuwait, Kuwait has joined the list now of countries that have suspended operations around oil and gas because of Iran.
Gas prices are going to go so high in the United States, and you're already starting to see it. We're going to see like $6, $7, $8 gas prices in cheap states for gas. And then like states like California, you're going to see gas prices get up to like $11, $12. That's kind of my prediction.
And this could massively increase fuel and gas price all around the world.
Yeah, look at that.
Kuwait
Like I just said.
massive amounts of oil to other countries in the West, including us. And
It's
so
crazy.
This is going to have huge consequences. But I'm going to be keeping you up to date on the Iran conflict, so leave me a follow so that you don't miss anything.
Yeah, leave him a follow. Alex Barnacote. Go and follow his account. He really leaves awesome analysis. Iran TV said the United States has announced the withdrawal from the military bases in Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq, Jordan, and the United Arab Emirates, Syria, and several Gulf countries. Footage circulating appears to show signs suggesting that Iran may have already gained the upper hand in the war. That was 22 hours ago. So we're seeing more activity happening, though, obviously. 17 hours ago, we saw a wave of 33 Iranian Operation True Promise 4 launched over 10x K-bar shaken solid fuel missiles with 1-ton warheads were fired at the U.S. and IDF targets. Man, this is where we're at. This is where we are at in history, and nobody's watching my show. I could say whatever I want, and nobody will know what I'm saying. And that's kind of the beauty of having no audience, right? When you have no audience, you can like literally talk about anything. You could say anything you want. And basically, you can report on anything you want. We're reporting on Israel. We're reporting the truth on all of these things. And guess what? Nobody is going to watch it because, I don't know, that's just the way YouTube goes. I don't make cooking channels. So instead of people being informed, you know, we're all watching cooking videos. Oh, crazy. So new Israel's Ministry of Defense says about 50 cargo planes carrying about 1,400 tons of weapons, equipped, and munitions have landed in the country in the past 10 days to support operations in Iran and Lebanon under the Operation Roaring Lion. So again, Israel's just getting destroyed in this fight here. Israel's losing this war. And then, of course, United States comes in, gives them all of our stuff. We give them all of our bombs. We give them all of our missiles. We give them all of our ammunitions. We give them all of our missiles. We give them all of our carriers. We give them all of our everything. And then we get destroyed. We end up losing our troops. IDF doesn't lose their troops. No, they're fine. Our troops get hit. And we're supposed to just sit here, say nothing, as we, like literally, we all have to create a live stream just to talk about these things, just because everything we know today, we're just constantly being lied to, right? Constantly being lied to all the time, 24/7 today in the algorithms. And it's just so sad because our country could be so much better, you know? I go through Twitter X specifically because this is really what's capturing the entire news of today and really what's going on. Introducing CashClaw, a brand new agent framework inspired by OpenClaw, designed to do one thing and one thing only: make you money and get better at making money. It's simple. You run the agent locally and set a specialization. The agent finds work, delivers, gets paid, reads feedback, learns from it, finds better tools, documents what you do and what not to do, finds more work, gets paid more autonomously. Since this is built on top of Mott launch infrastructure, the hard problems like discovery, capital formation, reputation, identity, and payments are all solved natively. Open source, dropping later this week. So that's pretty cool. Follow that account. I'm going to follow it. Molt launch, and gives you a little bit into their entire AI system that they're building to make money. Okay, Coin Tracker, you traded crypto. The IRS is getting 1099 DA reports. If your wallets aren't synced and your gains aren't calculated, you're guessing. Connect to your wallets in minutes. So that's for the Coin Tracker. Drones you see in flashing lights are traffic police drones in China. Again, this was 20 hours ago posted. They monitor traffic, assist with the police, and intervene directly from the air. This is what's coming to America. So in 2050, yeah, they're living in, I would say they're living, maybe not in 2050. They would probably be living more in like 2030. I think China is definitely living 10 years in the future. This is what we're going to be seeing in the U.S. real soon. You're going to see police officers completely replaced by drones and robots. It's going to be the real iRobot movie. This is China. Crazy. It's literally China. Wild. So, what are we doing about it? That's my question. Someone set loose 2 AI agents with $1,000 each in 48 hours to trade on Polymarket. Claude had a 1,322% increase to $14,216, and OpenClaw liquidated to zero in under 48 hours-ish. That's crazy. So OpenClaw lost money, and then Claude ended up making money. Wow. Look at that. So AI is getting so sophisticated and powerful, there's really just no way around what's coming in this future. It's going to be insane. Going to be absolutely crazy. No doubt about that. Christians praying in Lebanon, the destruction of village in Lebanon. Christians and their priests in unity join the Lord's Prayer. Israel only has one playbook, and that is to destroy everything. You're seeing a lot of these videos circulating. So, again, we're not hateful here. We're not against any other race or anything like that. We're trying to determine the truth. We're trying to find the truth. That's what's going on. 18 million. If this gets 20 million views, that was a big video by Harrison Smith. That was pretty big. Big U.S. banks may sue over crypto banking license like Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, and American Express are considering suing the U.S. OCC over its decision to grant national trust bank charters to crypto firms. Banks argue issuing these licenses to crypto firms could pose risks to Americans and a wider financial system. Firms receiving approvals include BitGo, Ripple, Paxos, and Fidelity, with conditional licenses also issued to Crypto.com, Bridge, and Stripe. Wild. So that's happening. Ripple, there you go. But where's Bitcoin? Where's Bitcoin? Think about it. Yeah, they're investing in Bitcoin, but are they investing in something a little bit more? Oh, accidentally clicked there. So what do you guys think is happening with crypto? I see it. The future seems pretty clear to me. Status quo is worse for the banks than a partisan compromise in the Clarity Act, which prevents deposit flight and promotes innovation. So let's check out this video. So again, Senator Cynthia Lummis has been pushing hard to get this Clarity Act passed, which is so important for the American people. The Clarity Act, probably one of the most important things the Senate is working on, because it allows the American people to become a little bit more enriched, whether it be from crypto, whether it be from rewards, stablecoin yields, all these things. So let's take a listen to this.
That is going to be really, really important for everyone to remember, is that what we don't want to happen is to have the status quo. It is going to be important, in other words, I think I have to level set that all of us will probably walk away just a little bit unhappy. Okay? Is that what we don't want is to have an unregulated system, to have crypto not regulated at all, and not to have the guardrails, and to allow...
Yeah, they want to regulate it too much. That's the biggest problem.
Deposit flight. And so the compromise that myself and Senator Tillis have been working on is one that we believe will allow us to have the guardrails in place that will help us to prevent in all the ways we can the deposit flight that we do not want to see happen, and to allow the innovation to grow at the same time. So it is not letting perfect be the enemy of good. To make sure that we absolutely have to have these protections to prevent the deposit flight, but we're going to probably have...
Yeah, and what she's saying is that they need to pass the Clarity Act immediately, ASAP, because if they don't, then China's going to pass some version of that, and businesses are going to start working with China. They're going to start working with El Salvador. They're going to start working with these companies, with these countries, with these continents who are crypto-friendly. And America needs to be the crypto capital of the world. So with all of the news that we just went over with crypto and the deals with Ripple being made, these are huge things. Okay, in Mexico, feminist terrorists tore down the cross at La Caponia before setting the doors of the church on fire. Anti-Catholic terror attacks are now regular occurrence on March 8th. So I think this is a lot of probably a lot of cartel activity. There's a lot of cartel stuff happening in these areas. And with everything happening with the U.S. invading and all these things, there's reasons, there's reasons for this behavior. A lot of people believe that the reason we are in war with Iran is because of the people like Pete Hegseth, right? These are Protestant Christians, not Catholics. There's a difference. These are Protestant Christians, uneducated Christians, who really believe that this entire war is God's will. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not in God's will to kill people and to destroy people. And for any human being to take that into their own hands, to play God and to act like that is what he is saying, not a smart move. This was 21 minutes ago. This is Lindsey Graham. Again, last night he was making nothing but statements on pro-war with Iran. This was 14 hours ago, but Tim Pool posted this just 21 minutes ago. Listen to Lindsey Graham warmongering and continuing to push this entire destructive Iranian war, which is going to kill even more U.S. troops.
All the anti-Seminites to all the isolationists, I don't believe... Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel.
Whoa, that's a big statement.
They're the best. Get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I'll get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I'll get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. Get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. Get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. Get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. Get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I'll get it. Get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day. They're the best ally we could hope for. So we have a commander-in-chief with Israel to our dying day. They're the best ally we could hope for.
Look at this guy.
I will be with Israel to our dying day. I will be with Israel to our dying day. I will be with Israel to our dying day.
Everybody should listen to this over and over again.
So we have a commander-in-chief.
What a traitor.
Trump, who I think is Ronald Reagan plus.
Lindsey Graham, you are a shameful man and a shameful politician. You should not be running for Congress. You should have no right to wear that suit and to represent this country with your warmongering and with your destructive governing. Clarity Act debate heats up as bank lobby weighs OCC lawsuit. The Bank Policy Institute is reportedly considering legal action against the Office of Controller of the Currency. The dispute centers on crypto firms receiving national trust bank charters, according to The Guardian. Bank groups argue that move could introduce risks to the financial system. Several digital asset firms have already secured conditional approvals. Critics say the policy shift expands crypto access to banking infrastructure. The conflict unfolds as lawmakers debate broader crypto oversight under the Clarity Act. Okay, so let's look deeper onto this post. So this is from the BSCN. So let's just look this up. What does this mean for crypto investors in retail? We'll just call it that. Let's see what this says. I'm curious. I want to see. So what does this mean for the retail investors in crypto? This entire article here. New crypto act debates heat up as bank lobby weighs the OCC lawsuit. I really think that they are doing anything they can to truly just kill crypto, and I think overall they want crypto to be only for the elites, right? For retail crypto investors, everyday people holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, stablecoins like USD, or other tokens via exchanges, wallets, or apps, this developing situation, traditional U.S. banks via Bank Policy Institute seriously considering a lawsuit against the OCC over national trust bank charters granted to crypto firms has mostly short to medium-term uncertainty with some long-term potential upside. Short-term implications, net 6 to 18 months. According to this post, this is what this means. Increased regulatory noise and volatility, headlines about a potential lawsuit from big banks, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, reps on the BPI board, create FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. We've seen this pattern before. Legal challenges or regulatory pushback often lead to temporary dips in crypto prices, especially for assets tied to involved firms. XRP for Ripple, USDC-related sentiment for Circle. Expect choppier markets and media amplification whenever court filings or delays hit. No immediate loss of access. Retail users aren't directly impacted day to day. You can still buy, sell, hold crypto on Coinbase, Binance, U.S. Kraken, custody assets and wallets, or use stablecoins. These characters mainly affect institutional-grade services, custody for large holders, ETF reserves, on-chain settlements, not your average retail trading account. Longer-term potential outcomes. If the lawsuit fails or fizzles, many observers see this as banks protecting turf rather than a slam-dunk case. More crypto-native firms, Ripple, Circle, Paxios, BitGo, Fidelity, Digital Assets, Crypto.com, gain federal legitimacy via national trust characters. So this is actually really good news for Ripple, Circle, Paxos, BitGo, Fidelity, Digital Assets, and Crypto.com. Again, if the lawsuit fizzles or fails. This enables better custody, faster/cheaper settlements, direct fiat on/off ramps, and potentially lower friction stablecoin usage. Retail benefit indirectly, stronger institutional participation, higher liquidity, tighter spreads, more products, better yield options, tokenized assets, and reduced crypto-only counterparty risk. Overall, it accelerates mainstream adoption without forcing retail to change habits much. If the lawsuit wins or drags on for years, delays or restrictions on these charters could keep crypto markets soiled for traditional finance. Retail might face slower innovation, fewer regulated on-ramps, persistent state-by-state licensing hassles for some services. It reinforces the narrative that banks are gatekeeping, which could fuel political pressure for broader legislation like the Clarity Act, still delayed in the Senate as of early 2026, with debates over stablecoin rules and interest payments. Bottom line, this is largely a Wall Street versus crypto infrastructure fight, not a direct attack on retail participation. Legacy banks fear losing control over payments, custody, and money movement to faster/cheaper crypto-native players operating under lighter but still federal rules. Don't panic sell over lawsuit headlines. It's noise and a multi-year integration trend. Watch key signals, court filings, OCC responses, Clarity Act progress, White House and some senators pushing for spring 2026 movement or new charter approvals. Positive tilt overall. Even if delayed, the direction under current administration/regulators favors more integration, which historically supports higher valuations and stability for major assets. If you're heavily exposed to XRP, USDC ecosystem plays, or crypto or custody-related tokens, this story has slightly more direct relevance. Keep an eye on Ripple/Circle updates. For broad Bitcoin/Ethereum holders, it's background macro noise more than a game changer. Very interesting. Very interesting. So now we kind of know where that's going, what that story actually means. Yeah, this is the banks trying to put up more roadblocks in crypto's way. That's really what this is all about. That's really what this is doing. They want crypto investors to kind of be held back, right? More AI videos. Gotta love those. This is the guy who threw the pipe bomb. Or it wasn't a pipe bomb. I believe it was a nail bomb. Insane. Crazy. Powerful explosions erupt live on Iranian state TV right from Revolution Square in Tehran. So again, people, it doesn't look like the Iranian people are too revolting against their own people. They're revolting against America. So that's kind of what happened. That's kind of what's happening there. Yeah, so a lot of big things happening in the market today. A lot of big news, a lot of big things overall. So what do you guys think about the markets? What do you guys think about all of the news? What do you guys think about all of these stories on X? What do you guys think? Again, it looks like crypto's happening. It looks like there's really no getting around it. Like I keep saying, right? There's no getting around crypto. It's happening. The Clarity Act will eventually pass. And when that does pass, it's going to free up the banks and Americans to make more money on their assets and stablecoin yields, all of these things. But overall, retail investors, you'll actually see some kind of price movement, most likely. But we need to have the Clarity Act. No more delays. When it comes to the oil markets, we need to see an end to the Iran war. We need to see a stop to the Iran war. If you're trying to profit off of oil, then obviously you want this war to continue. And that, you're going to long oil. You're going to long oil instead of shorting it. So there's a lot of big things going on today in the news, a lot of big things going on in the markets. Overall, that's pretty much it, though, right? Besides that, we have Tucker Carlson and a lot of these journalists in the media just completely being attacked for their freedom of speech. We see that happening on Twitter X. We see a lot of the personalities like Nick Fuentes kind of taking that same, fighting the same fight. Then Trump, we see Trump seems to be owned by Israel, seems to be making decisions only for Israel, on behalf of Israel, and against the American people in some ways. So these are the things that we're kind of noticing. And all of these things are leading up to this war with Iran. It seems like our whole Congress is on board with war with Iran. Lindsey Graham wants war with Iran. All of these things are happening. And so how are you handling it? How are you hedging against the future? So work with me if you want to work with me in business, real estate. I am a real estate agent here in Michigan. Shoot me a DM, leave a comment, house or whatever. Or you can work with me at goldsharkmedia.com, where we help you with lead generation, SEO, promo, and deal flow, website development, all of it. And we really help you optimize your digital omnipresence. And that's what I do. So thank you for watching this episode today. Brendan Ecker Influence. Be sure to subscribe. And tune in tonight, Ecker Geopolitics at 7 p.m., where we'll be covering more of the geopolitical angles on things and all of the bigger stories that are happening. So see you next time, and take it easy.